These Minecraft facts will change how you play the game, starting with
getting a ton of blocks in survival is not easy to do, especially early game. But when you want to build that big tower or pillar for your build, that's going to require a lot of blocks whether we like it or not. So to play the easy route and cut down on both mining and placing all the cobblestone, why not opt for a few buckets instead? This way, all we need is a ring of lava blocks in the desired shape, and we can use a technique called lava casting to earn ourselves a pillar in a matter of minutes. And for this little effort, that's a pretty solid deal. For most of us, fences are a necessary evil. Sure, it's frustrating that you can't jump over it, but the other mobs and such can't jump over it either, making them pretty necessary for an enclosure. Or so you thought. If you place a trap door and flip it up like such, then none of your pigs, cows, or sheep will be busting out anytime soon. But what's a trap to them actually lets you jump over with ease. Though I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that crafting a trap door compared to a fence isn't exactly resource solvent. But hey, looks come at a price, and with the added functionality to boot, I'm definitely willing to cough out the planks. Deep slate is a tough block to get a lot of, since even with a haste 2 efficiency 5 pickaxe, you still can't instant mine it. But as this user points out, if we get ourselves a wither to do the job, then it actually becomes much easier. As you'll notice, the wither breaks the blocks around its head every time that it takes damage. So if you trap one of these in a tunnel contraption like so, then every time that we punch it, we're gonna get ourselves some more deep slate blocks like so. And since it does a 3x3 area, we can quickly make ourselves a tunnel or get ourselves some deep slate without even having to damage our pickaxe.
Now this is a great build hack. Gives a point to our lily pads too, because we can place lily pads on water and then place a block on top of it. That lets us start building our ship or whatever we want on top of the water without ever having to go and just build straight up from down here.
If you're looking to get even with another player on the server, you might need to get creative. Because as any PvP player will tell you, all it takes is a bit of armor in the equation and suddenly your sword and axe is doing a lot less damage to the person. So to circumvent that entirely, how about we spend a bit more time and work on the potion side? Instant harming potions aren't just good for witches. These things can actually damage through armor, which means that a direct hit from a splash potion of harming 2 can basically melt through your opponent's health bar even if they got on netherite. Who knows, you might not even need a sword.
What we've got here is fence gates, because if you're selective with how you use your fence gates, switching between fences and walls like so, then regardless of if we can walk through it, the pigs and other mobs cannot. Even chickens, which have a smaller hitbox, you're gonna have to push them through.
Before you visit the deep dark, you probably want to brew up a slow falling potion. As Simply Sark points out, chugging one of these can help us get around the skulk shriekers and sensors without setting them off. I mean, you could fall from any height and land on a block next to it, and as long as you're not moving side to side, you will not set off any of the sensors, making this indispensable to have. Oh, or give slow falling to the mobs that you're trying to pull on a lead, and that way you can fly around with them on an elytra without having to worry about them dying of fall damage when you reach your destination. Now, this one's actually a double lie, where you'll have some people say that a lava bucket works just as well as a water bucket for an MLG, whereas others say that lava does nothing to dampen your fall at all. But the truth actually exists in between the two of them, since lava can actually break your fall. It's just, it works different than water. And for lava, it'll reduce your fall damage the more of it that you fall through. So if you were to fall from the minimum height to do lethal damage, if you had a lava bucket, you could actually use it to survive the fall. You'll just also be on fire. And I still wouldn't recommend doing this in the nether over something like a powdered snow bucket. That's a lot more versatile. If you're using a mending bow, then you've got to use spectral arrows. Now, they sound costly, but with the help of bartering, they're actually pretty easy to get in large quantities. And by using these, we're able to help keep track of the slippery mobs that might get away. Like say you're down in the ancient cities and you're trying to look for a warden. Well, if you use one of these to hit a warden, then you'll be able to track it down even when the darkness debuff is active. Which is good, because the warden's definitely not a mob that you want to turn your back on. A common misconception is that if you mine an ore using the Fortune 3 enchantment, then on top of dropping more items, it'll also drop more XP. But if you take an average from mining the blocks with or without the Fortune enchantment, you'll notice that there's really no difference. And more likely this misconception came about because the amount of XP that drops per ore could actually vary quite a bit. But anything to observe here just comes down to randomness. If you've ever experienced the pain of losing your base, you know it's no laughing matter. So to avoid losing all those hours of work yet again, this is a simple fix to try. First, picture something you'll always have in your inventory. Well, the first thing to come to mind is probably your special pickaxe or sword. So in that case, why not just name your main item the coordinates of your base so that you always have them handy? I mean, at least for me, I'm a lot more likely to forget my compass than I am my trusty Fortune 3 pickaxe. So that's no brainer. And hey, if you add mending to it as well, that'll be even more security for your stuff. Large-scale projects are a lot of fun to build in Minecraft, but without a big tool like World Edit, that big scale can start to seem daunting. So to simplify that problem and save some time, it's worth enlisting some command blocks like so. See, by laying out a slice of your build in a bounding box like this, we can save it as a structure and have it placed whenever we hold a specific item. That way, we turn building block by block into essentially painting the mountain instead. And believe me, that's a lot more fun. Shears aren't just used for cutting down your vines, but they can also help you trim them. In recent updates, if you right-click on a cave cave vine, kelp, or weeping vines like so, that'll set the edge to a max age of 25, which prevents them from growing any more past that point. And folks, this is a huge help for when you want to preserve the look of your build and keep those plants from growing any further than the decoration. While the Swift Sneak enchantment is meant to help out down in the ancient cities, it can also be useful above ground for when you're trying to speed bridge. And looking at this comparison between no Swift Sneak and Swift Sneak 3, you can really see that there's a massive difference. And honestly, I'm just glad that there's a method now to speed bridge without ever learning how to speed bridge. Because if you're like me, I could never get down the timing.
So the idea here is that you shouldn't be trying to convert your concrete before you go and use it as a building block, but instead, in places where you can, use it as something to build with, and then all you're gonna have to do, save your pickaxe durability, is just flood water over the top of it. And look at that, we've built with concrete just like so. Here we've got the warped fungus versus the hoglin. Just by placing down one of these singular warped fungi, we can scare off any of the hoglins that come nearby. Apparently because they think it smells bad, which I just think is just great.
Everybody loves the frugal friend, so if you're able to help your friend save on materials before a big build, it goes a long way to making you the hero. And to do that, all you've got to do is make stairs in the stone cutter. Seriously, by taking your stone of choice and putting it in this machine instead of the crafting table, you can save so much more per block, and when you're doing a big project, that really adds up. Unfortunately, this trick still doesn't work on any wood stair variants, but if you're trying to make stone steps, then this can save you a couple trips to the quarry. Every time that you see a hopper, there's a hidden cost of 5 iron ingots and a chest. But what if I told you that a way to cut down on this is to just use the chest and forget the hopper? Instead, alternating like this lets us cut down on how much iron that we have to spend. And the hoppers and chests will still flow the way that we're used to. So if you haven't yet set up that iron farm, this would be the choice that I'd pick for you. To most people in Minecraft, the signs seem pretty limited. I mean, save for the different colored dyes and wood types, how much else can you really do? Well, as it turns out, through the help of Unicode characters, there's actually quite a lot that you can add to these little things. And since these characters and emojis aren't exactly obvious to use, it can add some really fun diversity to your maps. I mean, if anything, it's just so that I don't have to look at another arrow that looks like this, but instead this. It's just so much nicer. If you're gonna make a big build, you're gonna want to get a lot of wool, because while a lot of builders might skip this step, it could be remarkably useful to have a color-coded layout of the pattern that you're about to build off of. And that way you can easily account for where a build will be placed and how it's spaced from other builds without having to invest all the materials to find out. Because trust me, the only thing that sucks more than finding out you built these houses too close to each other is the realization that now you're gonna have to tear it down and rebuild it all again to start from scratch. So save you and your tools the hassle and just do it out of wool next time. Since we're able to use the grindstone to remove enchantments, it begs the question, can we also use it to remove the curses? Unfortunately, no. Since even though it's possible to put the cursed books inside of the grindstone like this, they'll just come out the other side still with the curses applied. I don't think I'm breaking any new ground by saying that netherite is a worthwhile resource to have, which makes finding ancient debris something of a necessity. And to do that, we'll take all the help that we can get. Like this, for instance. See, while Mojang doesn't intend for us to be able to see well under lava, all we need is a fire resistance potion and a slab or grindstone to trick the system. The story goes that we get underneath, position our hitbox just right, and then score a prime view of the stuff below. And since ancient debris can spawn under lava, that means we get a prime chance to find some of these pieces in a pinch.
So the idea here is that bamboo can be crafted into most, if not all, of the useful wood products. And for example, we're talking about chests, barrels, our signs, sticks, anything you're talking about, pistons, doors, jukeboxes. We're starting to fall off a little bit here. Composters, not exactly useful, you know, but you can craft them with the bamboo. And it is the fastest thing to farm in the game. I mean, it just gets ridiculous going against this and just taking all of the bamboo. You can have it auto farmed with pistons and flying machines. It really gets ridiculous.
Reinforced deep slate is the toughest block that you can mine in Minecraft, but while you're able to mine it, you can't pick it up. That's right, even if someone convinced you that you're able to pick this up with the Silk Touch enchantment, as you can see, that's clearly not the case. And whether you use Silk Touch or not, you're still able to break this block, it'll just never drop an item, which unfortunately means we can't build our own wither cages. And that's something I'll sorely miss from the snapshots. Everyone's seen this before, the classic cobblestone generator, but while it's iconic, it's not exactly the fastest. So if you're looking for a better return on your skyblock profits, this format might be worth a try. With this altar-shaped setup, we not only get 1 block per cycle, but we get 8 instead. And folks, that'll let us walk the perimeter and essentially mine around the clock, without having any lulls in the cycle. Or hey, you could even enlist a couple of friends and have this work at full capacity on the multiplayer server. Here's how I increased my hotbar space tenfold. And I did it all in vanilla. Since a lesser known feature is the ability to use preset hotbars in creative mode. And to do this, all you need to do is save a hotbar by using the C key and then a number on your keyboard that you want to save the preset to. And then you can load it by pressing X and then the number that you want to use, which by itself is pretty handy for when you're doing map building, but what I find even more useful is saving different shulker boxes in those inventories, since once you load it, the NBT data is still saved, meaning you could have shulker boxes full of custom heads ready to load at a moment's notice, and you'll save yourself a lot of time not having to type out that command. Trust me. Honey blocks are great for redstone traps, and traps without redstone. Let me explain. With the honey block's unique properties, if any mob stands on top of it, they can't easily jump over, which means that if we were to put a mob or a villager inside of a composter or a cauldron with a honey block underneath, they're not able to jump out. And just like that, we found the sticky situation that'll keep your villagers inside of the trading hall. And to go one step further, add an extra ring of honey blocks around them, and then any baby zombies can't jump in to try to kill the mob as well. That way we make sure we keep the mob safe and sound, all while they stay put. Saving resources when you can is always a good idea. So before you've collected piles upon piles of coal blocks to use for smelting, this might save you a couple mining trips. While campfires are admittedly the middle child of cooking, they do have one key feature that puts them above the rest. For an upfront investment of charcoal and logs, these things will keep burning until you tell them to stop. And fortunately for you, that means you get a bunch of long-term benefit when you're trying to cook up some food. So take the time to smelt up that one piece of charcoal. That way you can save your later fuel for the mining trip sure to come.
Here we've got the gold helmet versus the iron helmet, which is a completely pointless debate because they both give you the exact same amount of armor. Look at that, +2 armor when you wear them. So if you want to save your iron for something else, you could just wear gold if you have gold. Or if you're in like a PvP server and you're thinking that you need to upgrade, you really don't. Unless durability matters, then otherwise, I would just use the gold. Now this is something that you might not have noticed down in the mine shaft, but actually if you test it out, it's that rails will break the pathfind. Watch out, observer. Rails will break the pathfinding of mobs. So even though observer and I are in survival mode, they don't think that they can walk through this because there's a rail there. But now that it's not, they realize that they actually can walk through, and as soon as they're on it, they will walk through. Here we've got the auto sand collector. Now this particular design comes from Fritz34000. If I update the observer with this, I guess that's gonna update 2 of them. There. Look at this. We're collecting sand out of the desert by picking it up with the piston and then dropping it onto the trap door. It's not the most effective, but look, this is tileable. We can put multiple of these next to each other and just have a whole fleet cleaning out desert and scan lines until it gets to dirt. And then I can go pick up 45 sand. Not that bad. If you don't exactly have shulker boxes in the early game, craft one of these up with some leather and string, and you're good. I mean, they changed the recipe too. It's a lot better. It only costs 1 leather, 1 string. Now I got my valuables bundle, my seeds bundle, my fundle bundle, and I can even put them inside of a shulker box for added shulker functionality. I can't exactly add shulker boxes in shulker boxes. We've got the most storage that we've ever had in Minecraft now thanks to bundles. If you're building a farm, you might want to use mud blocks instead of grass or dirt. And the reason for this is that mud blocks are just 1 pixel smaller in their hitbox than grass or sand blocks. And all that 1 pixel means is that items are actually able to be pulled through a hopper. And there you have it. Just with that simple change, our whole farm design just got so much cheaper. And not to mention the rates get better as well. Really, for the price of crafting a water bottle, it's worth doing this at your next farm. Here we've got, bone meal. This is showing us how to get a free and almost unlimited supply of bone meal. Now, the reason being is that if we were to go inside a soul sand valley and start to mine away all these blocks, each one of these blocks that we're mining is giving us 9 things of bone meal, which then lets us fuel our farms for a really easy and cheap cost. It's actually possible to use momentum and arrows to one-shot kill the dragon. Now, this is possible as Circuit Store shows off in this video. If you're aiming just right, standing next to the dragon, and then what you do is as soon as you get hit by the dragon, we're hitting it in the head, and then that gives it so much force on the arrow that even unenchanted, it's able to one-shot kill the Ender Dragon. That's so awesome. Here we've got a point about the Guardian's line of sight. So you can prevent a Guardian's attack by just placing blocks. So he's gonna start blasting me. Bam, completely threw off your line of sight. How about that, huh?
All right, pop quiz. Which of these swords is better? And while it might be easy to answer this one because it has more enchantments, I'll ask you to reconsider. Because while fire aspect and knockback can be useful in certain scenarios, they can also make fighting certain mobs into a pain. Like if all of a sudden sudden you're fighting that Enderman and then it catches on fire, now it's just gonna be teleporting about and make it way harder to kill overall. Or even worse, you light the mob on fire, and now it's lighting you on fire when it attacks you. And really, it's probably not worth the levels to try and put this on your sword. I'd rather just keep those on hand so that it's easier to repair. At this point, we've talked about making a bubble elevator using kelp, which is helpful, but it requires a couple of different items. So instead, let's get the job done simpler by just carrying around ice. With this, all we have to do is pillar up ice above a soul sand block, and then mine it with a non-silk touch pickaxe on the way back down. Then when we reach the bottom, all of them will be water source blocks, and we can fly right back up to the top, keeping our elevators fast and helping us build them about as quickly. Getting enough wither skeleton skulls to summon the boss can often be a hassle. I mean, even if you go through all of the effort to get a perfectly enchanted looting 3 sword for the job, at best, you're still only getting a 5.5% drop chance. So if you too are sick of these games of chance, then a surefire solution that most of us tend to look over is a charged creeper. That's right, folks, they also work on the wither skeletons too. Just set up a creeper farm, charge them up with a trident, and then ship them over to the nether. Complicated? Yes, but with a 100% drop rate, at least you know it pays off. Lighting up your base is great, but you never want to be too obvious about it. Having a torch on the ground doesn't look the best, is what I'm trying to say. But luckily, there is a way for us to hide it. Since if you place down a torch and then have an armor stand entity drop on top of it, then after you suit up that armor stand with whatever armor of your choice, then you'll have successfully made hidden lighting within your base. And while I'm not saying that you should go and spam a bunch of armor stands around your base, that looks more awkward than torches, I think looking for little alternatives like this can really make a difference when you can. In Java Edition, we trade with piglins like this, but on Bedrock Edition, we can do it so much faster. And the reason for that is that if you place down 2 observers to create an infinite clock, and then attach to that a sticky piston with a gold block on top of it, then when you throw the gold to the piglins to trade, you'll see that they're trading every single tick that's possible. So if you've got enough gold to fund it, I'd say pay up. You get yourself quite the show. Ever since 1.9, there's been an old myth about the elytra that the further and faster that you flew with it, that would actually correspond to how much damage it's taking. When in reality, it's much simpler than that, since the truth is just that 1 second of flight time equates to 1 durability point on your elytra. So when you get the Unbreaking enchantment on your elytra, it'll just lower that chance of the elytra to drop durability every second. And now there's only a 25% chance for it to take damage every second. Instead of cutting down your big spruce trees from the bottom, what you should rather do is before you grow the tree with bone meal, throw an ender pearl up to the sky, so that when you bone meal it, you'll land on the top of the tree. At which point, you don't have to worry about making yourself a staircase up as you're cutting down the tree. You can just take it all down in one go. Just make sure to have yourself a nice pair of feather falling boots. Otherwise, all the time that you would have saved is going to be wasted having to die to the ender pearl's fall damage. The pillager mob definitely has a problem with anger management, but if you're trying to impress your friends as the master pacifist, then you should know that it's actually possible to take one of these monsters and bring it over to the good side. You see, just as crossbows work for us, they can actually have their crossbows break. Meaning that if you bait them out of enough shots, they'll eventually be left with no weapon in sight. And at that point, they might still seem a little grumpy, but sure enough, they're pacified. And while I wouldn't feel comfortable reuniting them with society just yet, with progress like this, it's definitely a step in the right direction. What are the classic Minecraft debates? You got Java versus Bedrock, creative versus survival, and dirt versus sand for planting your sugarcane. But to put all of those to rest, the truth is that the game has actually never checked to see what block the sugarcane's planted on. So whether it's dirt, grass, sand, or even mud, none of those are going to contribute to the sugarcane that you're planting. So pick the best for your aesthetic and leave it there.
This is the shulker box loader and unloader system. Now, by using a shulker box loader, what we would do is we'd fill in any kind of random item that we have. Now, in Observer's case, we always know steak is the answer. So let me just fill up an absurd amount of steak here. And then if I were to just give like a shulker box or whatever, this is going to save us the time of having to worry about depositing any of our goods into the shulker. If we go into spectator mode, I can look into this container that can't be opened yet. So we can see that it's filling in here, albeit slowly. But look, this is entirely hands-free, folks. Kind of like Observer always. If you want to output the stuff from your farm into something for compact storage, each one of these slots ends up being 27 stacks of stuff that we've compacted down. So if you have a really fast farm, you know this is the way to go.
Water sources are a pretty nifty thing to have around, but they don't always match the aesthetic of a build. So to keep that big cube of blue from messing with your vibe, a simple solution is to use a waterlogged slab instead. You're still able to fill up your buckets and bottles as you would, but to any bystanders, it's just going to blend in with the rest of the floor. And hey, as an added bonus, Regardless, if your creeper rolls around there, you can rest assured that that spot isn't going to go up in smoke, making this a safe, sleek, and sneaky option. And folks, that's not only a lot of S's, but it also makes for a pretty great combo for your future base.
Now, wooden tools, as soon as we have them, we usually just throw them away. I mean, what would be the point of keeping them along, especially when they're starting to lose their durability? But luckily for us, durability doesn't matter for smelting. So instead of getting rid of that wooden pickaxe as soon as you get the stone one, why not just smelt it with that first piece of iron that you're getting, or use it with your wood to get charcoal?
Getting to the nether is a crucial part of any Minecraft playthrough, which is why speedrunners are always fascinated with getting there as quickly as possible, leading of course to this method for building the portal. And while that clearly works, it's not the easiest for a simpleton like me to grasp. So instead, this option is a better alternative for our slowpokes. Here, we instead dig out a pocket to build the portal swiftly underground, which might not be the most optimal, but trust me, it's a lot faster than messing up the real method and having to start over. I don't think I'm breaking any new ground by saying that mining fatigue is a definite pain to deal with. And while things like a milk bucket are a good one-time fix, when you're raided an ocean monument, you're bound to get it again. So if that's going to be the case, here's a bit more of an all-around solution. Would you believe it, but honey and slime blocks aren't just great for flying machines, but they're also a solid pick for insta-mining down in the ocean blue. So if you got the farms to supply it, I highly recommend using these to clear out any air pockets. And then when you got those, you'll be treated to the regular sea-level mining speeds that you know and love. Here's why you shouldn't carry around an ender chest, but instead, you should carry around ender chests. Because as you'll see, having multiple of these is going to make up for the extra cost. Since when you just carry around one, it can be easy to place it down and forget it somewhere. So then when you need it the most, you don't exactly have it on hand. And that's why I personally like to play with multiple ender chests carried around in my inventory. That way, if I just finish up setting up a new build and I want to have one there, I don't have to worry about crafting an extra. Instead, I can just place down one of the multiple that I carry. I mean, the item stacks up to 64 for a reason, so why would you ever settle for one when you could have another 63 on hand? Suspicious stew is a great food source, but it's not great to craft, especially when you can't stack them. So if you can't easily hold on to a stack of suspicious stew, the next best thing is to get yourself a mushroom. And not just anyone, but if you shock it with lightning, sorry little guy, and then feed it the flower of your choice, preferably a dandelion because it's the best one, then that's how you get an infinite amount of suspicious stew. Though worth mentioning is that the flower only works once per. So if you wanted 64 saturation suspicious stew, you would need 64 dandelions. Luckily, those are easier to farm than the other suspicious stew. It's a simpler trade-off. Instead of using redstone for your dance floor, why not use shulkers? Since silly as that may seem, if you actually manage to get a shulker into a minecart and push it through the end portal, then we can position it in such a way in our floor to have ourselves a living, breathing floor design. And then as the shulker opens and closes, it'll give you this pulsing effect to the floor. Oh, and also a built-in defense system if people get too close. Secret entrances in Minecraft are very cool to pull off, but most of the time, with redstone and such, they take a lot of work. So for a simpler option, you can build one using just this one block. Seriously, if you place down a shulker box with a block above your head, you can actually phase through the shulker box when you open it up to get sneakily into your base. To any onlookers, it looks like you just fell through solid ground, which I guess you did, making this even cooler. And it's definitely the new way I'm getting into my mines. Getting the full effect from a splash potion more often than not seems like a fantasy and not so much a reality. But as it turns out, to bring this promise into the present, all you have to do is look straight up and land a splash potion square on your noggin. By doing that, you hit the sweet spot right on your character's hitbox, and that'll help you sport the splash potion effect as advertised. Better yet, it also works with dispensers, meaning you can set up the proper potion systems to give you the full effect each time, which will have your friends wondering why your speed system works so much better than theirs. Going out into the water, we're able to build ourselves the raid farm, which even after the 1.21 nerf is still very powerful. Now, if I get myself some bad omen potions like so, drink up one of these ominous bottles, then I could just kill off all of the mobs that are spawning here, getting myself even more ominous bottles if I'm getting ominous banners, if I'm killing like the raid captains. And then this also gives me an infinite supply of totems of undying, emeralds, all that good stuff. Redstone even, clay if you want to. There we go. And look, by killing it with looting, I'm getting all my player drops. As opposed to just killing them automatically, I wouldn't get all the same stuff. But yeah, I mean, there's a reason why you see all your favorite hardcore YouTubers build one of these. It's basically the only way that they're able to survive forever. The one-shot machine. This here uses momentum principle to kill almost anything. And now combined
Combining this with wind charges, we've got a small machine here by Raiseworks that can instantly kill anything. So by using this to automatically summon the Wither, we can then, just as easily as it's spawned, use it to automatically kill the Wither. Oh, well. Technical difficulties. Here's what it would look like when Raiseworks does it. This one seems a little stronger.
The villager trading market, much like the stock market, can be a lucrative yet grueling task to undertake. Though, unlike the stock market, it's actually possible to get perfect trades for the villagers that you want. And fortunately, it's pretty easy to do that. By placing and replacing the same workstation next to a villager, you're essentially able to re-roll what they give you, meaning not only can you get yourself a mending book villager, but you can also get it at an affordable price, which is a level of purchase power that many of us would have killed for. And if Martha Stewart had this kind of help, she probably wouldn't have ended up in prison.
Minecraft has plenty of doors, but what about a dog door? Well, if you want one of these in your base, all you gotta do is break a 1x1 hole where you want the door, and then place a sign inside like so. And then place a block on each side of the hole, and then place down a 1x1 painting to cover it up. After that, you'll have the perfect sized door for your dog. It'll also be perfectly hidden, as long as no one goes punching for it. The auto honey block farm. The idea is that by having our bees up here, with the minimum required amount for them to be able to pollinate. With these azalea leaves, we're then able to turn that into honey, collect it out into our bottles, and then auto-craft it into honey blocks, getting us a whole bunch of stuff. And the way that this works, because we're never losing the bottles in the crafters, it actually fills back in, and this design is completely self-sufficient. It reloads. Credit to Cub Fan on this design.
Does an Enderman wearing a carved pumpkin never get angry? Can a skeleton's bow break? And these are 47 more Minecraft mob myths tested to see if they work. What would happen if we have a warden and get it to do the sonic boom against an Enderman? Well, we'll see. It's definitely getting angry like it's gonna hit it, but does it count as a projectile or does it count as some other kind of thing? Oh, here we go. And it does! Look at that! So normally with a creeper, we can place a block in between us to negate all the damage. This myth says that when you place a block between you and a charged creeper, it'll explode like a normal creeper. Well, let's see. So, light it off, place a block. Oh, I mean, just by the looks of that, yes. But I just closed that gate and I was completely safe. Let's try that again. Without the gate? Sure enough. So just by having a block there, or even just something as simple as a trap door gate that you're flipping, I was completely fine. Only half a heart from a charged creeper. That's insane. All right, myth confirmed. When a skeleton kills a creeper and it drops a disc, that creeper has a chance of dropping every single music disc. We'll get our setup here. We got the skeleton shooting the snow golem, and then if we just put a creeper in there to die, it'll drop a lot of the discs, but is it going to drop all of the ones that we can see? Now, if we go into the discs here, I think what we could very well say is that this isn't possible, because obviously some of these music discs, this needs to happen from killing a ghast, and this needs to happen from killing a chicken jockey, so that at least rolls out those two. And then disc 5 can only come from the disc fragments found in ancient cities, pig step from the bastion remnants, and relic is going to come from the trail ruins. We got a lot of music discs, but not all of them. So myth busted. This one says that we can ride a regular ghast using a boat. Let me see. If I go and take a boat and then ride it into place, will I land on top of the ghast? Hey, sure enough. So because they stack like different entities, I can technically ride this ghast. Now, what I'd be curious to see, since this is a no AI ghast, is what if I were to take a real ghast and tick freeze and then do it that way? Whoa, careful, it's slippery. And now tick unfreeze. Oh, it does not move with the ghast. So you can ride on top of it, you just can't ride very far. So myth true, but myth not as true as we would hope it to be. This one says that if you were to have the blindness potion, then there's no way to stop the creaking. Now, obviously, normally if I had a creaking here, I would just look at it and stop it this way. But if I drink this suspicious stew to get blindness, does that still count against the creaking? Well, it's not moving right now, at least as far as I can tell, and my blindness is already gone. So by the looks of it, it will stop even if I have the blindness effect. Yep, sure enough, the blindness works. Even if I step out of the blindness range, it does work. It doesn't check at all for the potion effects. And for the sake of testing, we could also try this with darkness. Even though that just gives me a different way that it renders on the client side, it doesn't actually change my behavior with the creaking. If I take a carved pumpkin and I put this on,
Oh, look at that. So the carved pumpkin does stop the interaction. The myth that we have here is that shulkers will take more damage from a pickaxe than from a sword. Well, we can see this by the amount of hearts that they list over their head. So that was 2 there, but about 5 there for my sword. Obviously, they take more damage from the sword than they do the pickaxe, which is a shame. I think that would be a fun way to justify using your pickaxe as a weapon. So a common thing I've heard before is that husks are able to drop sand when you kill them. Well, we got a lot of husks here. Let's see if they drop any sand for us. The truth is that no matter how many of these husks I'm killing, no sand from that one. The only thing that you're gonna find in a husk's loot table is the same stuff that you would find from a zombies. There's no difference. But this myth might exist because in a lot of different packs that you play on, including Skyblock, it is coded so that you could kill husks to get a renewable form of sand. But that's not in the base game. Even with Observer's super looting sword, not a single bit of sand here. Myth busted. Destroying a pillager outpost prevents mobs from spawning. So let's see if we get rid of all of this pillager outpost, if you wouldn't mind helping me out with some TNT here, Observer. Will that stop any of these pillagers from spawning around it? That should be good. Certainly got rid of the pillagers that were near it. So we'll get rid of all the pillagers that are currently here, and then if we speed through time, we'll be able to see if any more spawn. And as you can surely see, they keep spawning in the outskirts around. So it's not necessarily to do with the pillager outpost itself, but to do with the area that's defined around the pillager outpost. So, myth busted. This myth says that pillagers can't wear armor. We got a pillager here that doesn't have armor set into its inventory, and this command block sets up a pillager that's wearing full netherite. So let's see, how long would it take for me to kill each one? So this is the no armor one. 1, 2, 3. And here's our one wearing netherite armor. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 hits. So the armor definitely works, and we could even see as much if we were to give some kind of thorns. You would actually see that it works properly. Myth busted. So what we're testing here is that guardians deal projectile damage, which would mean that if we equipped projectile protection, we should be safer from them. Well, let's find out. So I've got my armor here with projectile protection. I take 3 hearts, switch over to protection, and I just take 1. So it doesn't actually benefit you to use projectile protection in this way. Instead, regular protection is going to work just fine, because this is considered as magic damage, where the beam will bypass armor points entirely, and it only gets reduced by resistance potion effects or the regular protection enchantment. It's possible to get a pillager's crossbow to break after a certain amount of uses, but can the same be said about a skeleton? Well, by the looks of it, my shield's going to break first. And if we were to go and check in, the skeleton's bow that it's given is given at damage 383, so it should have broken by this point. So if we were to give ourselves that same bow that it's using, it only could do 1 shot before it's broken. I take my 1 arrow, point towards this guy, immediately breaks. The skeleton's not the same. Myth busted. An enderman will not attack you when you look at it from a tower of scaffolding. This enderman will not reach me up here. It does not climb the scaffolding, the same way that it would if we had a ladder here. Will it attack me when I'm inside of it? Hold on. So it will still attack me, but if I start scaling up, the enderman won't scale up with me. So the tower of scaffolding completely negates this enderman from attacking me. Myth confirmed. So this one says that if we summon in an enderman, get it angry, and then apply a carved pumpkin, it won't stay angry at me. Which unfortunately for me, I'm not only dying, but I'm dying in the stupidest way possible. Granted, I can't anger it when I'm wearing it, but if I go and apply this here, the job's already been done. So attach your carved pumpkin as a preventative measure and not as something after the fact. So myth confirmed. But what if we were to take our enderman and make it wear the carved pumpkin? So we've got an enderman here that's wearing a carved pumpkin in its secret inventory, even though you can't see it. So if I look at it, is it gonna get mad at me? Sure enough. Let's maybe move to the next section before I glance my eyes off this enderman. Myth busted. A magma cube can bounce on slime. Let's find out. Set up my slime into position and then place a magma cube over top of it. Will it bounce on the slime block? Nope. Slime entities themselves just aren't actually bouncy. What we're actually seeing here is that it's bouncing off of the blocks underneath it enough to look like it's bouncing, but it's not actually bouncing with the mob. So myth busted. This says that a zombified piglin in the nether has the ability to spawn regular zombies. I go and apply my kit here, and then set the reinforcement attribute for the zombie pigments to the max. Now, if I were to go and attack these zombie pigments, will they summon in any kind of zombie? Every time that they take damage, they'll attempt to spawn more. So let's see. So far, no regular zombies. We'll try damaging them a little bit more. Huh. So look at that. Ever since snapshot 24W33A for the 1.21.2 version of the game, it was made so that any non-zombie undead mob wouldn't go and summon reinforcements for regular zombies. So our husks, our drowned, our zombified piglins, even zombie villagers, they don't summon in as reinforcements regular zombies. Myth busted. This myth says that if we take a blaze and give it water breathing potion, then it'll become immune to water damage. We got our blaze, it's got water breathing on it, and by the looks of it, it might be breathing in the water, but it won't be breathing for long. And we could even see this if I were to go and take some more splash potions of water breathing. Definitely has the effect, but with those regular splash water bottles that observers throwing down, it will still take damage, and increased damage at that. Myth busted. So the Enderman sound clips that we hear are actually English in reverse. So let's see. We got our Enderman here, and we can listen into it. So there are some lines that do sound like they're saying something, like there just said like it sounded, "What's up?" And while this is stated as an official bit of text that happens in the loading text for Bedrock Edition, according to a Mojang Says video, the developers themselves actually contradict this idea.
I don't think they're speaking English backwards and not that easy.
So it could just be speculation, but what I will say is that myth busted. So what we're seeing here is a myth that the fossils that we find inside of the Nether are actually the remains of sniffers, which I gotta say, for this to be true, they would have to be a whole lot bigger as sniffers. And considering the biggest we've ever seen a sniffer get is about this size, I wouldn't say that it has any relation, especially since there's no other ties to the sniffer inside of the Nether. However, the fossils that we find in the overworld, maybe there's an argument there, but the ones that we're seeing in the Soul Sand Valley, I think especially because there's dried gas that we're seeing next to them, there's much more likelihood that it has something to do with the gas as opposed to our sniffer friends. Myth busted. This myth says that wither skeletons are immune to wither roses. Sure enough. And if we were to get a regular skeleton down, we'll see just that. A regular skeleton takes the effect, but the wither skeleton, not only is it immune to wither roses, it's just immune to the wither effect in general. Myth confirmed. So this myth is that a shulker is immune to fall damage. Well, let's find out. Now, if I were to go and summon a shulker up here, it'll always teleport down. You can't summon it midair. So is it immune to fall damage? Sure, but it's never actually falling. Even with commands, it just doesn't work. It'll give you the command feedback. Target is invulnerable to the given damage type. And if we were to do the same with a sheep, there you go. So, myth confirmed. This myth says that a piglin will dance if it kills any mob besides a hoglin. So we've got our piglin. We're gonna get it aggro towards this chicken. Well, no dance, no fanfare, but it is a rare chance. Let's summon in a few more chickens. But sure enough, it's only coded so that they do this after a successful hoglin hunt. So, myth busted. So this myth says that given enough time and enough endermen, they will grief your base. Well, let's see. So if you were to have a base kind of like this, where it's half made out of natural blocks and half made out of stone, the endermen would grief the other parts that we're seeing here with the dirt and the rooted dirt. But the truth is that they can't pick up stone by design. So no matter how much time you give them or how many endermen you have, they could never fully break this unless you change something in the code. So myth partially busted. If you have a dirt house, it's not looking great for you. This one says that piglins can pick up non-gold armor and weapons. So if we have our piglin here and I were to give it down some diamond options, will it pick these up instead? Sure enough, we got a diamond wearing piglin. But as soon as I throw down a gold item, it'll always prefer to wear the gold instead of the diamond. To them, it's all about the bling, regardless of if it's a worse armor choice. Myth confirmed. This myth says that Happy Ghast, if given enough time, will fly away forever if left untethered. Well, we could tick sprint and try to see if this is true or not. So while it does fly outside of our base's range, the truth is that the Happy Ghast always stays within a 64 block radius if it doesn't have a harness, and that gets trimmed down if it does. So no matter how far away I get from the observatory, it's always going to stay somewhere around where we're keeping our base to. The way that the Happy Ghast determines its home is that it'll be depending on where you last unattached a lead, dismounted it, equipped or removed its harness, no longer tempted it with a tempting item like a snowball or a harness, or if it stopped following a mob. So basically the last time you interacted with it, that's going to be the area that it remembers to stay active in. Myth busted. The myth we're testing is that pigs will only eat carrots. Well, while they're definitely associated with carrots, if I were to try any of these other items like potatoes, they'll surely work, and beetroots as well also work for the pigs. So any of these three food items, do just the trick. And in fact, I believe it's golden carrots that they don't care anything about. So, myth busted. While riding a camel, it'll make you immune to any kind of melee damage. If I go into survival and I have this husk down here, I am safe to this melee damage. But that's only true given where the husk relative is. So as soon as it steps up, it is able to hit me. It just needs a footstool before it's able to do anything. But as long as you're staying to the flat desert down here, you are pretty safe on the camel. Oh, but an Enderman is tall enough to kill you on top of the camel. So partially confirmed, but not totally. This one says that a wolf in wolf armor can take any amount of damage and still survive. So let's see if I take my mace and I go up and get a nice big leap. Our wolf is still fine. The way that it's coded is that a wolf will take any amount of damage up until the point of breaking the armor, and it won't actually touch its health bar. So even using strength to the maximum level, our wolf is still alive. Whereas something like a warden punched the same, dies in one hit. So a wolf basically has 2 sets of life bars, which is odd. I thought it was cats that had multiple lives. Is that true with magic damage? No. So this one would be partially true. This one says that if we have a wolf and we have a happy ghast, our wolf will kill the happy ghast. So let me see. I got my happy ghast here. Will it go and just attack the happy ghast as is? My wolf will come towards me, but it will ignore the happy ghast up until the point that I punch it. But that's true for any passive mob. Can a wolf kill a happy ghast? It's true, but I wouldn't say it's true in any kind of interesting way. And untamed ones, they completely ignore it. We'll give it a partial confirm. To get the chicken jockey music disc, you can't kill the chicken first. If I were to go and slay the chicken and then kill the zombie, no chicken jockey music disc. But the same setup where I kill the zombie first, sure enough, that's the only way to get the chicken jockey music disc, which makes sense because otherwise when you kill off the chicken first, it's just a baby zombie. It's not a chicken jockey. Myth confirmed. All right, so last time we had a bunch of chickens attached to leads and we tried to make a chicken parachute. We said in the last video that myth was busted, but someone said that if we give them slow falling first, then it would work. We'll take all of our chicken, look at all those chickens, get them on a couple of leads. There we go. And then if I give them slow falling, now will this save us from the fall? Let's find out. I mean, kind of, but it's misleading. Because what's actually happening here is that the slow falling's saving me from the fall, and not the chickens themselves. And if I were to clear the same effect and try this again, and then if I fall like this, not only does that not save me, but it also keeps the chickens up there in the middle of the air. So all that does is break a couple of leads and my spine. Myth busted. All right, so this is a fox that trusts me. And you can see that because it's not running away from me when I get close. So if I were to get attacked by a mob like a husk, will the fox go after it with the sword? I'd hope so. I bought it for it. Hey, sure enough. So even though foxes can't be tamed in the same sense that wolves can, it will go after the husk like so. And mobs that they would normally attack, like chickens, they'll go after just the same anyway. They'll even prioritize it over this mob that's about to hit me. Thanks. So, myth confirmed. This one states that pandas are completely passive mobs. Well, let's see. I've got my panda here. It seems pretty passive. Let's give it a punch. Whoa! Not only is it not passive, it's a neutral mob that can do 4.5 hearts of health, but it only does 1 punch to retaliate against me. It all has to do with the specific panda variant that we find. And it would be this panda here, the angry panda, that actually would have a chance of going against us. So is this one just straight up hostile? Doesn't look like it, but if I attack it first, ow! Does it keep attacking you after you hit it though? Sure enough, so the aggressive one will keep attacking you once it's provoked, whereas other variants of the panda might give up after a certain amount of time. But even fully aggressive, it's still a neutral mob. So, myth busted. This one states that bees are doomed to die after they sting you. Well, that would be based on real life, so let's see. So if I get stung by this bee, not only does it sting me, but it also loses its stinger in the process. If you look at this bee, it now has no stinger on its butt anymore. Now I know I'm not doing so great. How does the bee fare? Well, so far so fine. Ah, there it goes. Myth confirmed. This one states that dolphins, even though they are aquatic mobs, require a mix of both air and water to survive. If I were to give this a ceiling, and then we tick sprint, even though it's fully given all of the water that it can need, eventually the dolphin will die from not having enough air. Sure enough. But we do that same test and we remove the lid, the dolphin will be fine. Myth confirmed. This one says that sheep can only graze on grass blocks. So if we shear off the wool off the sheep, it'll only get it back if it was next to grass, but as we can see there, that's just not the case, considering it is able to eat actual grass items that generates on top of blocks like the short grass that we have here. So it ate the short dry grass to regain its wool. The issue being though is that it does remove it in the process, so it's not a permanent solution the same way that our grass might be renewable, but it does work. Myth busted. This one states that Iron Golem will give a baby villager a poppy on rare occasions. Now this has definitely been in the game, and the truth is that it still is, but you're not gonna see it on Java anymore. So as we can see here, the golem does still offer out the poppy. It's just that due to a bug, it won't actually have the baby villager accept it anymore. So myth busted. This one says that allays do not dance to the broken music disc like they do to other ones. Let's find out. Oh, sure enough, not only are they dancing to it, but they seem to love it. They love it a lot more than I do, I'll tell you that much. Myth busted. In Bedrock Edition, the allays can blink, but this one says the Java Edition doesn't. Pretty awkward staring contest, and it'll be extremely awkward because they do not blink in Java. They also said the allays can blink in Bedrock, but after hours of studying it, it's just not so. Though there are resource packs over there that allow this to happen, but otherwise it's just the players that's blinking. So I guess that means myth double busted. This one states that a snow golem inside of a desert biome given fire resistance will actually survive. Well, that one didn't last very long. Let's try the fire resistance. Hey, sure enough. So as long as it has fire resistance, it'll actually survive inside of the desert biome. And actually, myth's so confirmed that if we were to go over into the nether, it's also true that our snow golems will survive there. Myth confirmed. So this myth says that if we have an iron golem that's broken up, well, we usually could repair it with iron ingots. This one says that we can repair it even faster using iron blocks. But no matter how hard I'm right-clicking on this, I cannot interact with it using iron blocks. And in fact, the quickest way to repair your iron golem with iron blocks would be that you just build a new iron golem. But as far as what this is saying, myth busted. This myth states that swamp villagers have a guaranteed mending book enchantment. So we've got our swamp villager. It's now a swamp librarian. If I go and trade with it, curse of binding. Not only is there no mending for it, but there's really no difference between the different biome types of villagers. And the reason that this myth might exist is that there's currently experimental snapshots that are out that would make these changes, but they're not in the base game. So if you're going and taking all the effort to breed your villagers inside of the swamp to even get this rare variant, it's not going to make a difference for you. Myth busted. If we have a villager and a bed, it can sleep in any dimension. So as soon as I set it over to night, there's no night sky over here in the nether. However, the villagers are able to sleep just fine. The bed doesn't even explode. And if that's true for the nether, let's see it in the end. We got this villager's house on location, set it to night, and sure enough, it's able to sleep here, even if we can't. Myth confirmed. This myth states that you're able to milk squids. All right, let's give it a shot. If I take my bucket and try to milk the squid, it doesn't work. However, it did used to work because this was added during beta 1.2. You were able to milk the squids for a regular milk bucket, but it was then removed back in beta 1.301. So if the myth is that you used to be able to milk squids, then that is confirmed, regardless of how much I wish it wasn't. 25 trick shots you can try to do in Minecraft, and they get even more difficult as the video goes on until they're nearly impossible. Starting first with the mace clutch. That armor stand right down there. Here we go. Nice. We can't have the first one be a wash. This is literally the easiest one. Hey, there we go. All right, that's one for me, observer. Here we go. Come on, observer. Hey. All right, we want to say that we get 3 tries on each one, and then we have to move on. That works. Here we've got the boat clutch. Now this is a famous one, but up here, whole idea here, oh, I love using the raft. This is gonna be even more intimidating, is we have to place down the boat and then right click it again to drop in. It's like a water bucket clutch, but you have to place it twice. First up on the plate, dang it. All right, that's one of my attempts down. All right, observer, watch and learn how to do it a second time. Dang it, really? This is embarrassing. I've done this one before on No Name. I might just put up that clip and just show how impressive I could be.
Oh gosh, he's gonna die.
Oh,
Nice.
yeah! That's crazy. Okay, that one, I didn't even get close. All right, observer, I couldn't beat this one. This is you. We suck. I'm just gonna put that out there. I'm just hearing you die. I don't know what is happening. We're getting it down and then we can't right click again. Hey! If you use a right click macro, you can do it. All right, observer's up to 2. I'm at 1. Let's see if we turn the tide at number 3. This being the bucket clutch between dripstone. Now, everyone's done a water bucket clutch before. Some of us are better at it than others. But the idea here is, can you do it while the whole surrounding area is dripstone? Ow, I'm hitting it again. This is embarrassing. Okay, I've got one last attempt, observer, while you're working on the wires. No! Okay, observer, show us the business. Yeah, all right, observer's up to 3. I'm at 1 still. Ooh, we're back with our mace, because now we gotta use the mace on the warden. So I just gotta hit him on the way down. Deal, not deal. No! Could you move, please? Could you just slide on over? Whatever. Nope. All right, Observer. As I get sneak 100, show us how you skydive 1000. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was first try. All right, Observer. Observer at 4, me at 1. This is not looking good for my reputation. All right, now we've got to use the mace against the big boss, the Ender Dragon. So just right down there, huh? This is not a great time to have a fear of heights for one. Oh, even worse time to have a fear of dragons. All right, try to get the hitbox on. Nope. Yeah! I did it! All right, now it's Observer's time to shine. Ba-ba-da. Nice! Wow, you kicked it off course, Observer. All right, it's 5-2, Observer's lead. Here we've got the bucket clutch on a fence post. Look at this little smiley guy watching us. He's got like shifty eyes up there, and then he's got, that looks like a nose and a smile. That's it right down there. That's all I have. I couldn't make it the first time trying to do a bucket clutch. This is gonna be bad. Yeah! All right, that's 3 for me. Observer, show it off. All right, now we might be settling the scores back in my favor. And see ya. Oh, and see ya, he did. And polishing it off. Woo! So that is 5-3. Oh, what is this? So we gotta use the skeleton's punch bow to jump, get hit over here, and then finish the course. All right, Observer going first. Observer's gotta put on armor to make this actually work. Oh, that should be. And see ya. Nice. Oh no. I mean, I would still give you partial credit. You did do the trick. I think you should be able to get it. Never mind. All right, my attempts. So how did you have to jump and then, yes. Woo! Oh, I got a William Tell right there. Almost knocked it off my head. Awesome. All right, well that is 4-5. Oh, Observer hit the return button. We're getting dicey with it now. We've got the honey block clutch. So you gotta slide on the side of it. Okay, oh, this gives me agita. And, well, I landed on it. That doesn't count. All right, so we've got a sneaky dripstone right there. You can still land to the side of it though, right? Well, let's see if I can slide to the left. Ow. Okay, my last attempt here, Observer. I'm gonna hold the mace for good luck. No! All right, this one's all yours, Observer. Take 2, Observerino. Oh. Ah. All right, that is a tough one. Here we've got what looks to be the Wither Storm. I don't know what we got here. So you have to jump out, and while you're on the outside, hit the target. Oh, come on. So you're jumping around here. Well, I just did a Neo. As I'm trying to find out, I did my first ever Neo. You wanna lead first, Observer? You're in the lead? Okay, well, first Neo jump already out of the way. Oh, second Neo jump done. All right, here we go. And Observer clears it first try. Come on. All right. Oh, shoot. Okay, well, there's my first try, first die. Okay, the crossbow in the middle of my screen is really throwing me off for that. Let me not hold that while I'm doing this. This is my last attempt. I gotta go on the edge? Shoot. Ah, that's a point for Observer. Observer's up to 6. I'm at 4. This one is the roller coaster trick shot. So I have to do 4 shots on the target blocks using crossbows while falling. First shot, missed. Second shot, missed. Third shot, missed. Fourth shot, missed. No, it goes in the lava. All right, put me back, put me back. Oh no, this is like that terrible mini game in the Mojang office. Okay, I got 2 of them now. Oh shoot, okay, well I'm already, what's the point of even attempting if I've already lost? Yep, okay, my best attempt was my second attempt. Observer, show me how it's done, please. Clean up after my mess. Observer up to the bat. Okay, missed first one. Missed second. Third missed. Fourth missed. Ooh, first one from Observer. Second one from Observer. Third. Oh, right at the end. Last try, can he squeeze it out? Nope. Is it even worth shooting the other ones, or are you gonna just try to shoot yourself? Fall through obstacles and then land a bucket clutch. I mean, I've done the dropper before. Is the dropper like your brother? You got dropper, you got dispenser, the whole crowd. Okay, I just have to fall where? On that? Ow. All right, I got too worried about the other thing that I wasn't worried enough about the drop. I have a while ago. Ow. Okay, that's embarrassing. I'm just gonna keep this water bucket and slurp up my tears. Observer, you gotta do this now. Oh. Oh, nothing more disappointing than seeing all that water pool out and then seeing your face revealed to prove that I'm not as good. That's sad. 4-7 observers lead. Oh, the dropper trick shot clutch. So what we've got to do here is hit something while falling and then also survive this. Ow, that is insanely cruel. No! Am I even getting close with the crossbow? No! All right, observer with no hands, show me how you right click. Oh, no lamp, no fall. Take 2. Dang, it is hard. That is a tough one. I never thought that I'd have to take a shot midair. Bam, and the water bucket clutch at least. I don't even think you got on the target. The lava walk trick shot. Oh, come on, I gotta do the boat. Ah. Okay, ow, 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 ow. I just shot myself while I was falling. What? I shot the boat. How do I not shoot the boat? Okay, I think I need to have my setup different. I think I gotta go 1, 2, 3. There. 4. All right. No credit for me. 1, 2, 3. Oh, that's cruel. That's cruel. I feel like you almost gotta like do the shot from over here at first and then go and finish the rest of the lava walk so you're not worrying about it. All right, observer, here we go. A nice sunny day here. Oh, too sunny. Hit it, observer. You with your boat eye patch is what it looks like right now. Oh. Yeah, that's tough. Ah, sigh. Okay, another wash. This one is the honey slide trick shot. Oh god, we gotta slide all the way down to just to press the button. We just have to slide on the honey all the way. No! Ah! All right. Well, no. Okay. Well, I just wasted one of my arrows. Can I even land on the thing? No. Landing on the thing is tough. This is my last attempt. No! Oh, okay, observer. Redeem this situation. Bless this mess, observer. Come on. It's the having to fall the rest of the way once you did it. All right, that's the first one. Second done. Third done. Can he land on the... Yeah, baby! Nicely done. All right. A little bit of a pulse here again. We've got observer up to 8 successive slime block jumps. Oh, but also doing a trick shot while doing this? Come on. If I never hear the word trick shot again, it'll be too soon. Okay, speaking of too soon. That's what it's gonna say on my obituary. No! Hey, you know, at least I'm gonna score in the top 2, you know what I mean? It's just an honor to be second place. All right, come on, observer. All right. Oh, and then you got one straight forward at the last. Come on. All right, first one, done. Second one. Oh, third one, tough. All right, bam, bam. Last one. Yeah! All right, observer up to 9. Wow. So these last 2 rows are for double points. Whoever wins each one will get 2 points. All right, on to number 16, we've got successive mace hit parkour. You did it! All right, observer did it first try. Let's see if I can clean up my act. Oh my gosh, that's a big wind burst. Oh. Oh. Oh! Yeah! Double points on that, observer. All right, so that brings me up to 6. That brings you up to 11. Successive sticky piston trick shot parkour. I'm getting sick of this trick shot. Oh, you gotta do parkour by like hitting the thing. It's that short of a pulse. Hit it, observer. This is the least lethal and it's so hard. Yeah, you gotta treat it like you're just like right-clicking a note block next to you. No! Ah, dang it, this is so embarrassing. All right, you want to give it more attempts? Okay, jump throw. Oh! Oh! The 360-degree button trick shot. No! No! All right, let me come back and see you do it. Here we go, observer. Yeah. All right, here we go. Nope. All right, well, that was a tough one, observer. The target block dispense boat clutch. Shoot target block while falling, dispenses boat item, and then boat clutch. Give me a break. Okay. Oh! I got the boat. How? That's stupid grass. I gotta like stop moving while I'm falling. I placed the boat. Oh, okay, whatever. Go ahead, observer. I mean, considering neither of us could do the boat clutch in regular circumstances, I don't like our odds of doing it now. Oh. No luck. All right, well, the wind charge wall jump. Well, this one we're not gonna, I guess we do die. I was gonna say, I feel like this one's a little less lethal, but we can count that as a failed attempt. No, I'd still die anyway. All right, I'll take one more attempt. 1, 2, 3, 5. Pow. I can get up to here. I feel like that's pretty impressive. I don't know if I'm supposed to be jumping on these, but I scarcely care. No, okay, I'll take that as my loss. All right. This is so embarrassing. I threw away 2 points here, dude. So that's 2 points for observers. That brings you up to a total of 13. On to powder snow parkour. The gimmick here is that we're jumping into it, picking it up. Okay. Okay, I see now. We have to pick it up and then use it to jump while falling. Well, okay, well that doesn't... Well, I mean, I could just do this. That doesn't feel in the spirit of it. Take it from the top and then move it to the side. Okay, that's more challenging. Nah, okay, because we can't reuse it. Yeah, we'll count it as a no. We didn't do the intended. All right, let's see if we can take it back in number 22. We've got only 1 bucket, 1 powder snow. No, okay. All right, so we gotta use this to wall jump up. Okay, not like that. I'm doing it too fast, I think. I gotta be more deliberate. No, here we go. Observer take. Oh, he's got it, he's got it. And by it, I mean an early grave. All right, here we go. Oh, observer's got cool techniques now. All right, hit it, observer. All right, you got this now, you got this now. All right, the swim up is a pro technique. And nope. Number 23, last 3 here, observer. All right, oh, it's pig dangle mace parkour. Sorry. Oh no! 1, 2, 3, 4. Woo! Yay! Oh wow! Oh, ow! Yeah, you got this, observer. Oh, you got hit on the fence post. Last attempt, observer. 1. Just don't hit yourself with the fence. Oh. Hey! Nice. All right, an additional 2 points into the economy. We've got the craft a boat clutch. So this one, we've got to craft a boat while falling and then do the boat clutch. I don't like our odds. We've never done this. Shoot, I have to... Do you want to allow the use of the recipe book? No, I can't even do it that way. Shoot, okay. I can't even place a block. He got the boat! Nope. This is a gauntlet. Let's get a little fly through. So we've got powder snow bucket parkour into what looks like a Neo jump of sorts. And then we've got the punch over to this gap, which then we switch over to the mace and land through multiple different piggy parkour powers, showing off our prowess, hitting the crossbow into the target, landing in a singular thing of water. Yeah, that's easy. What if we do this first try? It's not a bow clutch. Okay, well, that doesn't bode well for my first try. Huh? Okay, I'm cheesing it. I don't care. I gotta just, never mind. All right, into the powder snow. The first obstacle. It likes to thin out the herd. There we go. All right, onto the Neo jumps observer. Oh. 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 Hey, here we go. Well, observer gets closest. We go back to the scoreboard and we're gonna see a big old observer win still. All right, 8-15. Observer is the winner.
And with that, folks, YouTube thinks that you might like this video, so see if they're right and have a good one, all right?